But she blinded me with science. She blinded me with science.
Hey guys, this is Danica for Fluff University, and today we're doing a quick tutorial video on how to hand wash your diapers with a bucket and plunger. So we've got half a hamper full of dirties right here. Up here we've got detergent. I use the Gain Icy Fresh Fizz mixed about 3 to 1 with Foca. There is some borax. I've got moderately hard water. And Purex crystals, just purely to make it smell good. I like my stuff to smell delicious. Here is the bucket and plunger setup that I've got. So altogether, this cost about $11. I got mine at Menards, but you can get these supplies at any of the home improvement stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, whatever you've got. So I got the plunger with a handle. It's Roto-Rooter brand, I guess. That was $8. And then the 5-gallon bucket with a screw top lid, I just find that easier, was $3 something, so about $11 altogether. I drilled a hole in the top of the lid to fit the handle, and then drilled some holes in the plunger itself just to reduce the resistance, make it a little bit easier to use. And then there's the bucket. So the first thing that we need to do is a cold pre-wash cycle. So for the pre-wash, you can choose not to use any detergent or water softeners or boosters or anything. It's kind of up to you. I do like to use the borax as a water softener and the detergent in my pre-wash, just less than I would use in the main cycle. So for this pre-wash, this is a 2 tablespoon scoop. So I'll do it like a little bit less than a third full. I don't know if you can see that. Just pop that in there. And then I don't really measure very precisely for the pre-wash detergent, just kind of below line 1, somewhere in there, like half of line 1. I'll throw that in. I don't put my scent boosters in the pre-wash, I just find it unnecessary, really. And then I'm going to take the cold water and just put a splash in the bottom, like maybe an inch of water, just to help dissolve that detergent before we throw the diapers in. Yeah, I'm going to swirl that around a little. It doesn't have to be fully dissolved, it's fine. And then I'm going to start throwing stuff in there. And even though we're hand washing and not using a machine, the same principles for agitation still apply. So you want to have a stew. And what I mean by that is not too much water to where there's no friction and nothing's getting agitated, but not so little water that things are still not getting clean. So in order to do that, we want to fill the bucket at least halfway full, but not more than 3/4 full. So that's about up to 3/4 there. And then essentially we are just going to fill it up the rest of the way with cold water, and then we will start the actual cleaning part of it. And what we'll do for that is you do 50 plunges, take a 5-minute break, let it sit, and then 50 more plunges. And we will see you guys when that's done. Okay, so a couple other things that I want to say real quick, before we start plunging, is when I was talking about the stew and agitation and that stuff, one very easy way to check if you're not sure if you have stew is to take an old wooden spoon, spatula, whatever you've got on hand that you don't mind basically getting dirty and designating to this. And you can push down on the diapers and see how much water rises up over the top of them. And you want a few inches, so I've got probably 3.5 inches of water over them, and that is perfectly fine. That's what we want. The other thing is you totally do not have to separate any fabrics. You don't have to separate darks and lights. You don't have to separate natural and synthetic fibers. Whatever you got, throw it in there. I've got some flour sack towels, some pocket diapers with PUL, some cotton velour fitteds, a little bit of everything in there, and it will all be just fine. So I'm going to do my 100 plunges with a little break in the middle, and then I will show you guys what it looks like when I open it up when that's done. Alright, so I have finished my cold pre-wash. Again, it was 50 plunges, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then 50 more plunges. So we can open it up here, and you'll see that there will be some suds in there. Get the plunger out from under everything that's on top of it. There we go. So it's a little sudsy. The water is dirty, obviously. That was the reason that you want to do a pre-wash in any sort of wash routine, whether it be hand washing, using a machine, whatever, is that you want your main wash cycle for the detergent to be able to focus on removing the soils from the actual fibers of your diapers rather than all the soils that are just on the surface and going to immediately come off into the water. So the pre-wash will eliminate what's on the surface and allow the main wash cycle to focus on what's actually in the fabric. So in order to dump the water between cycles, the easiest way for me personally, I do wash in my bathtub. My bathtub gets cleaned nightly after my son's bath. So I know it's clean, and for that reason I just kind of set everything aside on the floor of the tub, and I have no qualms about doing that. You can kind of do it however you want. I just think it's a lot easier to take stuff out and then dump the water rather than like try to hold stuff in with one hand while you're dumping the bucket, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt that way. So I'm just going to set everything aside for a second and then dump the water. Let it drain. So now we are ready to do our first of 2 main wash cycles. For the main wash, I'm going to use hot water on that. It does clean better, just helps get all the nasties out. If you only have cold water available, like if you are hand washing because you're camping or in some sort of kind of emergency situation, obviously if cold water is all you have, then that's fine, it's better than nothing. But I do prefer to use hot for the 2 main wash cycles. So for that, I'm going to use borax, and I want a full tablespoon for that, which again, this is a 2 tablespoon measure, so about half of that measurement cup. And then for the detergent, again, I'm not super precise about it since it is part Foca and part Gain. This is a Gain scoop from an old box, and I do basically slightly above line 2, slightly under line 3. I don't know if that's going to focus for you. There we go. Maybe a little bit more. So just above line 2. Let's throw that in there. It's a much smaller vessel than, you know, a washing machine, obviously, so you don't need quite as much. And then I do add some of the scent crystals, the Purex crystals, to my main wash cycles. And I don't measure those either, I just kind of sprinkle them in there and call it good. And again, the boosters, any sort of OxyClean, Biz, scent boosters, anything like that is totally optional and up to your personal preferences. Water softener, you really do need one if you have any sort of hard water. If you're not sure about hard water, you can get a test strip either online, or you can possibly find one at your hardware store, pet supply store, buy the fish tank stuff, at a pool supply store. You've got some options for that. So I'm going to splash, again, a little bit of hot water in there, swirled it around, and then put all my diaper laundry back in. And it's going to be another 100 plunges, so I'm going to do 50, Wait about 10 minutes and then do another 50, and I will see you guys at the end of that cycle. Okay, so after our first hot wash cycle, we can open this back up. You can see everything's been mixed around, agitated. I'm just going to do basically the same steps that I did after the cold pre-rinse or pre-wash, which is take everything out and set it to the side for a minute in my clean bathtub, and then I will dump the dirty water, and then we will do one more hot wash cycle. Oops. Alright, so again, I'm going to throw in about a tablespoon of borax. And the detergent measurement is technically 2 tablespoons. Again, I kind of go by the detergent lines, especially since my gain is mixed with Foca, which is one of those that you need a little bit more sometimes. So it's above line 2, under line 3, about 2.5, somewhere in there. Throw it in there. And again, scent crystals. Okay. So we'll splash hot water in there. Swirl it and throw everything back in. I know I didn't show you guys after the pre-wash when I put everything back in, but just as an aside here, when you put it in after it's already been wet, it will look a lot less full than when you initially put it in when it was dry out of the hamper. So that is not a cause for concern. It looks less full because it's wet, so it's all condensed, but that's exactly how you want to do your 1/2 to 3/4 measurement when it's dry. So I will fill this up the rest of the way with hot water and do another 100 plunges. So 50, take about a 10-minute break, and then do the last 50. And then after that, I will come back and show you guys what we're going to do before our final step, which is going to be a cold rinse. Okay, so I have just finished the second hot wash cycle. So, open her up here. And then our final cycle, like I said, is going to be a cold rinse. And for that, we need to basically wring out our diapers before they go in the rinse cycle, and then obviously dump out the bucket. Now the water that I use is just like straight hot water from my bathtub tap, so I don't want to just wring it out as is. It will burn my hands and be really uncomfortable. So I am actually going to run some lukewarm water from the tap and kind of like gently rinse as I wring them out so that it's not just super hot water coming out and scalding my hands. And then once they're all wrung out, we will go ahead and throw them back in the bucket with nothing in there, no borax or water softener, no detergent, no nothing, just cold water, and we will do a 100 plunge rinse cycle. So let me go ahead and get set up here to wring these out, and we will talk some more. Okay, so I have emptied my bucket, and I am just going to, like I said, gently kind of run these under the water while I wring them out, and that is just going to keep the water from being super hot on my hands. And then as I wring them, I'm going to throw them straight into the bucket. And then once the bucket is all filled up, everything's wrung out, then we will do our cold rinse cycle. So a couple other things I wanted to touch on before we're done here, or before we do our rinse cycle anyhow, are why people would choose to hand wash. There's several different reasons why hand washing is a good option for people. For a lot of people, they either cannot afford a washing machine, their washing machine has died and they need a temporary solution. You may live in an apartment or a trailer where you don't have a hookup even for a washer and dryer. It's great for camping, or like I said earlier, like some sort of temporary emergency situation where you have lost power, or lots of different reasons why hand washing would be a good solution, either temporarily or permanently for people. For me personally, I live in an apartment. I do not have a hookup for washer and dryer, nor could I afford them if I had the hookup. We do have coin-operated laundry, but first of all, that gets expensive really quickly. It is $1.50 per wash cycle and $1.25 for a dry cycle, and because of the limited settings on it, it's pretty much hot, cold, or warm, like, that's it. So there's no pre-wash setting, which means I would have to run 2 full hot wash cycles every single time, and then a dry, which is $4.25 per load of laundry. And not only that, but the agitation sucks. They're just like weird, high-speed, kind of hybrid, high-efficiency machines that are terrible. They don't agitate well. They don't clean well. They're alright for clothes. I do my clothes and like regular laundry in there, my bedding and stuff, but they just do not cut it for diapers, in my opinion, especially considering how expensive it is. I cannot afford to spend over $4 per load of laundry to have them come out anything less than sparkling clean. So this way, you know, $11 for the setup for the bucket and plunger, and then my only cost other than that is the detergent and borax, and whatever other additives you want to use. Since I do mix my gain with Foca, I don't buy Biz or OxyClean or anything like that, because Foca has quite a bit of enzyme action itself. If I were using a different detergent, like if I were just using the gain by itself, or on occasions when I've used like Sun liquid detergent, I do add Biz to it just for that extra enzyme action to make sure everything's really getting clean. Enzymes help to break down the waste and make sure that your detergent is getting done what it needs to. But as is, I think that the Foca and Gain works fine for me as long as I add a water softener. Obviously, if you have soft water, you don't need a water softener at all. That is up to the water in your area. Like I said, it's not difficult to test for that. You've just got to find a test strip. They're super duper cheap, and there are several places where you can get them. Let's see. For drying, I have like a drying rack, just a wooden one. I'll show you guys at the end here. I bought it on Amazon for I think $14, somewhere around there. You can obviously throw stuff in the dryer. It's not going to hurt anything, but if you don't have access to a dryer or don't want to spend the money or whatever the case may be, it's absolutely fine to hang dry things. Obviously, when you're hang drying, some things will dry faster. Flour sock towels, cloth wipes, pocket diapers, that sort of stuff will dry pretty quickly, within a matter of usually like 8 hours at most for me. The thicker stuff, like pre-folds, fitteds, the soakers that go inside the fitteds, that stuff all does take longer just because it's thicker and more absorbent, so obviously it's going to take longer to dry out. Now when you air dry stuff, some of it can feel a little stiff. If it's been line dried or dried on a rack, it doesn't feel as fluffy, soft, you know, nice as it does out of the dryer. But honestly, it's just not that big of a deal to me anyhow. And you can always, if you have access to a dryer but you don't want to run it as much, you can hang dry things and then just throw them in a quick dry cycle for like 15-20 minutes to kind of fluff them up. That works too. A couple other myths, I guess, or common misconceptions about cloth diapering. First of all, the dryer will not hurt anything. It will not ruin your PUL or TPU on pocket diapers or covers. Those materials are meant to withstand up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and being autoclaved. Your dryer should never ever get that hot if it's properly functioning. So it's completely fine. If you are drying stuff with elastics, just don't stretch them while they're still warm. Like if it's pockets, wait to stuff them until they are cooled off. But otherwise, it's fine. It's not going to ruin your diapers. It's not going to hurt anything. Another big one is cloth diaper safe detergents. Basically, most of the quote-unquote cloth diaper safe detergents on the market are a lot of water softener and very little of the actual surfactants or cleaning agents. They're not very useful, they're not very effective. You have to use a ton of them to even come close to getting your diapers fully clean. And even then, people still have issues with them. Basically, cloth diaper safe detergents are people trying to sell you stuff. There's no reason that you can't use a regular old mainstream detergent. Some people like to, I guess, kind of minimize their use of what they think are harmful chemicals, and that's fine. I completely understand that. But there are options for that. You can use natural or plant-based options. There are plant-based options for every price range as well, and basically you just need to use a little bit more of them, 1.5 to 2 times as much as you would use of a stronger detergent, and they'll be just fine that way. Most of them, anyhow. And let's see what else. I think that about covers it. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this bucket the rest of the way up with cold water, and then I'm going to do my 100 plunges from my rinse cycle. So it'll be 50, take a 5-minute break, and then 50 more. And then after that, we will come back and wring them out and hang them up to dry. Okay, so I just finished my 100 plunges on my cold rinse cycle. I'm going to open it up. Now, I'm sure you can see there are some suds on the top. That is okay. So what we want to do is go ahead, take the diapers out and set them aside. And then go ahead, dump the bucket. And part of the reason that you are still going to have suds at the end of a rinse cycle when you're hand washing is just simply that there's no spin at the end of your rinse cycle. So in a regular washer, any suds that are left, most of them are going to get kind of knocked off during the spin cycle and will pop, and you won't ever know that they were there. But with hand washing, no spin cycle, so you see the suds. Suds themselves are not a problem. The only reason that there's an issue is if when you go and feel the diapers, inserts, whatever, if they feel like kind of slimy to the touch, they feel like they still have like detergent feeling on them, then you can do another rinse. You can do like 50 more plunges or whatever. But if it's just bubbles and they don't feel slimy, then you are totally fine. I do, again, like rinse mine slightly as I wring them out, just personal preference to make sure that the suds don't dry on there and get like crusty, but you definitely don't have to do that per se. So I am going to go ahead and start getting these all wrung out, and then I will bring in the drying rack and hang them up. Okay, so I just finished wringing everything out, and I'm going to start hanging it up to dry. And there were a couple more things that I wanted to touch on real quick when I was thinking about detergents and cloth diaper safe detergents and all that kind of stuff. One thing that comes up a lot with people asking for help on the Fluff Love group is people asking about homemade detergent mixes or homemade laundry soap. And the reason that those are a problem is that most of them, the recipe is washing soda and borax, which are both great water softeners and detergent boosters, and then Fels naphtha soap or Zote soap. And those are not detergents. They are surfactants, but they are soaps. And soap is a problem because when you use detergent, when you use, say, Tide or Gain or Foca or whatever, detergent is a kind of surfactant that will, the one end of the molecule binds to the soils in your laundry, and the other end is attracted to the water in your wash cycle. So it will attach to the soils, lift them out, and then the other end binds to the water, so everything is carried away, rinsed out cleanly, etc. With soap, you have the soil end that attaches to the soils in your diaper or your laundry, whatever you're washing, but they do not have the hydrophilic end that is attracted to the water. So what happens is some of it gets rinsed out, most of it gets rinsed out, but some of it doesn't. Some of it stays in the water and redeposits back into your clothing, your diaper, laundry. And when that happens, it builds up soap scum over time. And obviously that is not good. It will lead to problems with your diapers repelling. It will trap other nasties and gunk in there, especially if you are also having any other issues with your wash routine as far as load size or anything like that. And in the end, what you end up with is diapers that leak, diapers that give your baby rashes, diapers that smell like ammonia, and on and on. And there are some homemade recipes that are even worse. They don't even call for the soap ingredient at all. They are just like washing soda, borax, and OxyClean, which is not a soap or a detergent. It's not a surfactant in any way. So basically, just a note of caution. Stay away from homemade. We don't recommend it. We don't endorse it. We will tell you 1,000 times why it's terrible and you should never use it. So in general, stick to real stuff. And also, a lot of people say that they want to use homemade because of the cost, which is understandable. A lot of people cloth diaper to save money. I get that. But it's actually not cheaper than other detergents out there. Purex, Foca, and I think maybe Sun and a couple others are all cheaper ounce per ounce than making homemade laundry soap. So the cost is not really a good excuse. So I'm going to finish hanging everything up, and then I will be done here for now. I just put the drying rack straight in the bathtub, that way when things are dripping as they dry, it's just dripping right into the tub and going down the drain. Obviously, if you have another space for it, put it wherever works for you, wherever it makes sense. And otherwise, you can wash pretty much as frequently with the hand wash method as you want or as you need to. I know most people who do it will wash every day to every other day. Some people go longer. You can go up to a week, however long you want. Obviously, the longer you wait, the more loads you'll have to do because it's a 5-gallon bucket, not a full-size washing machine, so it does not have the capacity that a washer has. But it's kind of up to you how you want to do it. Otherwise, you can find us on Facebook at Fluff, Love, and CD Science or at fluffloveuniversity.com. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below and we'll try to answer them as quickly as we can. Thanks, guys.